But I was going to ask in terms of like other social trends right now, like up here in Canada, Instagram's testing removing likes, like the like count. Like I can't see what anybody else's like count is. Do you think that that's a positive shift for social media? Like have we over indexed and people rely too heavily on their, or do they rank their self worth too heavily on their likes? Like, do you think that it's a good idea that social's moving towards that, or should it kind of stay where it is? Like, how do you feel about the current state of social?
I think the current state of social, I think it's getting better. I think this conversation, that type of question, is coming up more and more. I think it's not perfect, but I think I'll answer some parts. The hidden likes thing, to me, I think the core concept is great, right? You don't want people matching their worth or their post quality to likes and have that be like a status of currency. But to me, I would just worry that, okay, if they go away with likes, then are people just going to start buying fake followers? Because right now, if you have 10,000 followers, yet you're only getting 100 likes on your page, then because people can see the likes on your page, then people are like, all right, this is sketchy, and you kind of get called out. And then therefore that prevents people from maybe doing fake followers. If you hide likes, then does the Joe Jones or the random photographer start buying likes, and then that becomes kind of the status symbol. So in that regard, I don't know. I know it was getting some positive publicity of how hide the likes, it's going to save people, but to me, I'm not all the way in on that camp. And then the second part of your question, kind of the current state of social media. I push back on a lot of the anti-social media things. I just think it's we're so lucky to be in this social media era. I mean, I literally had this morning's a perfect example. I had a coffee meeting with a friend from high school I hadn't seen in 6 years. Without social media, the meeting would have never happened. I would have never talked to him. I probably would have never seen the kid again. But we live in a world where it's just so powerful. This podcast happened because of social media. So I always try to be like, hey, yes, the likes idea or likes angle and valuing your worth there, like it's not great. But to me, it's a lot of it's let's take some accountability. Let's take some ownership in terms of if you are a person that is glued to your phone after you post a photo and you're measuring your personal self-worth versus the likes you're getting, like there's an element of like, all right, that you got to take some ownership. We got to figure out what is that? Is there a bigger issue at play rather than blaming the entire social media landscape? Because I think there's a lot of positive in the social media, and if you're coming about it negatively, yes, I'm not naive to some of the fallbacks, but I think there is something to be said about rather than blaming everyone else. Is there something that you can control better to improve your mindset?
I think that's a really interesting opinion. I think we're on a fairly similar page. And I think something that's important for the listeners to note is that earlier in this conversation that we're having right now, you talked about the negative aspects of people kind of showing hate during your playing days with USC. And you still have this opinion that social is a positive thing, despite having experienced some of the most negative parts of social media. So I think that's a really important takeaway just from your last point. But is there any other trends that you're kind of keeping an eye on? I know we talked about IGTV. And when I had Brandon Hatcher on here, he was saying he's loving TikTok right now. And I just recently went down the rabbit hole, was looking at different TikTok things and found all these people on Instagram that actually have like double, triple their Instagram following on TikTok. Like, are there any things on the horizon that you're kind of keeping an eye on?
Yeah, TikTok. I gotta admit, I'm not well versed in that. I definitely know it's out there. I definitely know kind of the trajectory it's on, and I'm wary of it, but I have not executed on it. This conversation might motivate me to really start diving into that. But in terms of on the horizon, I think to me, I'm really trying to execute on Instagram. I think I was a guy that did not post a bunch, even for being in a certain social or like a standard. I was a college football player, like, right. I should have posted all the time. Would have had a bunch of like traction. Could have done some great things for my personal brand, but I didn't execute on as much as I wish I had. And so definitely trying to dive into my story now, make it way more, not way more, but make it super transparent, sharing what's on my brain, what's on my heart. And I've had some success with it the past couple months, and just really trying to lean into that. I personally don't think IG is going anywhere anytime soon. And so really trying to hone in and making sure I got a strong presence on the most powerful social media platform we have right now. That's kind of where my head's at.